Hey everyone, it's Karen here from Buttonwood. We're here to talk about our favorite holiday at Buttonwood, Thanksgiving, and two new wine releases that we've come up with that we think will pair really wonderful with the Thanksgiving feast, whether you're doing that together or you are doing a virtual Zoom Thanksgiving. You can get these wines available for pickup. You can have them shipped, and you can even ship them to various people now through our store so that you can send a gift of wine to somebody you would normally be having dinner with. So the first one we're going to talk about is Chardonnay. Chardonnay, one of the two varietals that we do not grow here on the estate, but we have a favorite family friend, the Hibbets, Art Hibbets, who owns the Hibbets Ranch out there in the very cool part of Santa Rita Hills. He has a little bit of a 3-acre vineyard of Pinot and Chardonnay, and we are very lucky to have all the fruit from that vineyard each year as a monopole relationship with Mr. Hibbets. So 2018 Chardonnay. Beautiful. Would you like some?
Yes, thank you.
Welcome. It's a beautiful kind of light gold color. And the way that we make the Chardonnay is we don't get very much of it. It depends on vintage, but this particular 2018 vintage, there's only 40 cases to start with. So it's going fast because it's quite delicious. We make this in a way so that we can have a Chardonnay that appeals to a lot of different tastes. We make it 1/3 each in stainless steel barrels, 1/3 in very neutral French oak barrels, and 1/3 in once or twice used barrels. So that we get this really kind of nice combination of a little bit of creamy texture, a little bit of toastiness, but we really get that pretty Santa Rita Hills cool climate Chardonnay. So it's really zippy. It's not zingy, it's zippy. But it's got kind of a sassy note to it as well as it's both creamy and it's nicely brisk. Delicious. Thank you, Mr. Hibbets. We love these grapes. So the vineyard is planted on a very steep hillside. It's in the westernmost region of the Santa Rita Hills on the 246 side of the river. You can see the ocean from the vineyard. And most of the Chardonnay is Wente clone. There is still some 76. I think there's some 86 out there as well. It's kind of hard to tell at the Hibbets Ranch because it's kind of a field blend type of vineyard, wherein that in one part of the oldest part of it, which was planted as a test block by Art and Michael Benedict, every 8 vines has got a different combination of rootstock and cultivar. So it makes it very interesting to pick, but it makes a really delicious blend. What we do is we do a whole cluster press on this. So we get these gorgeous grapes in. Usually, we get it after our Sauvignon Blanc is all picked. It's one of the later things to come out of Santa Rita Hills. And we take those whole clusters and we put them in the press and we gently squish them until we get beautiful juice. It goes into a tank and we do inoculate it with yeast to get it going. We use BL3 yeast for this particular one. We do a little batonnage, which is barrel stirring once it goes into the barrel to give it a lot more of that creamy texture from the leaves. It is fermented sur lie for that is in the French oak barrels. And it generally stays in barrel for about 18 months. So the 2018 Chardonnay was bottled in 2019. And we've been letting it rest in bottle for a while until we thought it was perfectly suited for the season. And I think this is really wonderful for a lot of the Thanksgiving feast dishes. Mashed potatoes, particularly one of my favorites. What would you have it with? Peanut gallery.
I would have it with what kind of soup did we have? Kabocha squash. Kabocha squash.
Kabocha squash.
Yeah.
How do you write that?
Kavocha.
That's that weird flat squash, right? That
Mm-hmm. And then a green or a butternut.
nutmeg, that'd be nice. Squash. Okay. The last night I had to try this again just to make sure it was good, which it is. And I was just thinking of you all doing quality control. we've had it with a beautifully, perfectly roast chicken. And what about, so vegetarian? We're going down the squash path.
I'm all about the butternut.
Yeah.
Butternuts, yum, yum. All right, that's Chardonnay. So 1/3 each stainless steel, neutral French oak, and once or twice used French oak in barrel with batonnage and surly. Batonnage is about 2-3 months probably, surly, until we take it out of barrel. It is going through as much malolactic fermentation as it wants. We don't encourage it, we don't inhibit it, we don't inoculate for it. And then when we do take it out and put it, get it ready to put into bottle, we do filter it, sterile filter it, because it hasn't gone 100% through malolactic fermentation, and we don't want that to happen in the bottle. This is not intended to be a sparkling Chardonnay. So, but the Santa Rita Hills, I think personally, as much as I love the Pinot Noirs coming out of that region, I think it makes the most beautiful Chardonnay, and I think that Chardonnay deserves this much or more attention than Pinot Noir from Santa Rita Hills. There's always this pretty salinity that you get. It's almost like you can taste the sea in it. It's really crisp. It's got beautiful acid. It is not your fat California buttery Chardonnay. If that's what you're looking for, this is not the wine for you. So, cheers to Chardonnay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Indeed. I think it's one of the loveliest ones we've had.
Oh, that's because there's only 40 cases of it.
Well, there's 39 now.
All right, we got another glass. All right, moving on to the estate. So back in 2008, we decided to take out some of our Merlot, because you remember there was that movie, and we planted about 1.5 acres of Grenache, thinking it would be a really nice complement to our Syrah, which was planted here years earlier. So Grenache, of course, is known as a Rhone grape, but also there's an awful lot of it in Spain. So where it originally originated is kind of up in the air, depending if you talk to somebody from Spain or you talk to somebody from France. It is a very different grape to grow here on our estate. It has a very small canopy. So usually you've got this really big canopy of leaves, and that's going to help you with both shading, photosynthesis, ripening, etc. And Grenache has a very short canopy, and the leaves are not as big as some of the Bordeaux grapes. So we have to be very careful about growing it, because even though it's a pretty thick-skinned grape, and usually one of the last things we pick here, it tends to easily get sunburned. So we have to kind of shade one side of the canopy and then open up the other side. And the other thing about growing Grenache is that it grows these immense clusters, and you've got this kind of short canopy to try to support this amazing amount of fruit. So we're pretty careful about our Grenache, and then we go through and we cut off all the fruit except for one cluster per shoot on the Grenache for Noir. It drives our owners crazy, because when they come to visit, they see like the ground littered with clusters of fruit. But it can end up, so some of these clusters are so big that they're almost half to 3/4 of a pound each. The other thing about Grenache, what it will do is you've got this kind of pretty pine cone shape of the cluster, and then it will grow these things that are either known as shoulders or wings. And they just come straight out here, if I was a cluster and it was pine cone shaped, which I wish, but they just grew out this way. So now you've got these 4 other appendages on this cluster that are taking energy away from it. So we go back out through the vineyard again after we cut a lot of the crop off and put it on the ground. And we clip off all those wings and clusters so that all we're trying to ripen is this really pretty pine cone shaped cluster. It's picked pretty late. It takes a long time to ripen. We do have to worry about sunburn, because it will bleach color out. So the way that we made this in 2016, and we don't always get to make a Grenache, red Grenache. Sometimes we put it all into our rosé program. But this one we picked, I think that was the first year we were picking at night. We bring it into the winery. We did destem most of it. I believe if Brett Reeves is online, he may remember that I think there was a portion of it that was whole cluster. And in that case, we just leave the whole cluster in the fermenter, and we just let it do its thing with the stems on it. We did pull a little bit of what we call a saignée on this, and a saignée is a French term that means to bleed. That's how it literally translates. And in that, what you do is before you start fermentation, you pull a little bit of that off, the juice off, before you're actually adding yeast to it. And what that does is it increases your juice to skin concentration, so you're going to get even more goodness out of the skins themselves, which have everything. They have all the color, they have all the flavor, they have the tannin. So what you're doing is increasing juice to skin ratio by doing a little bit of a saignée. And as I recall, it wasn't that big, 5 to 10%. This then goes to barrel. We use neutral French oak on this one. There was a little bit, I think we tried in 2016, of Eastern European oak. And it stays there until we think it's delicious, and then we pull it off. It does go through 100% malolactic fermentation, and we might give it a little bit of a polish filter. I really can't remember if we filtered this one or not. We did not fine it, so there is no fining agents whatsoever. The only thing we really did was give it some good music while it was going through fermentation. We added some yeast to get it going for primary fermentation, let it go through malolactic fermentation until it was finished, and then we bottled it. So it is totally vegan, as is the Chardonnay, something else that we should remind everybody about. It's a pretty nice color for Grenache. Grenaches can be pretty light. And it's a medium-bodied wine, so we thought it would go really nice with either a nut roast or a roast turkey, if you're a carnivore. And the aromatics on it are just jumping out of the glass. I mean, there is raspberries and violets and floral stuff, and it's just, I mean, when we opened this up again the other day to test it for Thanksgiving, Brett and I were just like, wow, this bouquet is heady. It's just gorgeous. It's just so, I mean, you want to kind of put a little bit behind your ears, girls. There's really light tannins on it. It's just really kind of full of very concentrated, pretty fruit. There's a lot of raspberry type of characters to it. A little bit of something like cassis, and I don't want to put words into any. This is what I taste on it. It may not be what you taste, because I don't know what I think a raspberry tastes like is what you think a raspberry tastes like. But it's delicious. It's medium bodied, very low tannin, so it's just going to be really easy to drink. Really pretty finish, and a lot of that kind of perfumey aromatics come through actually on the finish as well. It's really nice to have a Grenache bag. We haven't had Grenache in a long time. We tend to have to steal a lot of it for our rosé program.
Have you made a Grenache Syrah recently?
We made one in 2018. It is still in the winery, dressing, doing its thing, maybe in the spring. 2017 was pretty popular. After that, we don't have no 19. Yeah. 20, I think we did make some, I really do this year. I don't remember, it's 2020, I can't remember, but there is Grenache in barrel this year, and there is Syrah in barrel this year. So whether it becomes Grenache by itself, or Syrah by itself, or Grenache Syrah, TBD.
It's 2020, so anything can
2020,
happen.
anything can happen. They can turn into
I believe we started that nighttime picking in 17.
Okay, so we would have picked this very early in the morning then.
Yeah.
So, we want to make sure, especially things like Grenache, come in very cool and crisp. We want we want the grapes to be cool because, as with anything, if you leave a tomato out and it gets hot, it doesn't taste that great. Things can start to grow on it. And more importantly, one of the reasons we went to nighttime picking was we want to make sure that the people that are harvesting are safe and kept cool as well. And then the third reason for those of us who live in this area at least is the yellow jackets don't come out until dawn. So, yeah. What do you guys think?
Excellent. I definitely taste the raspberry. That's what I took that from it.
Really like the
Florals. Lots of people request Grenache, so I think this will be exciting to have back in the tasting.
It is another pretty small release, so we have 40 cases of this to start with, now 39 because Brett's getting a big case, and there's only 62 of this one, so it is a limited release. Right now, for our Viber Club members, if there anybody watching from that, they have Their reorder discount immediately applied to this at 30%. And again, they could ship that to anybody who can be in one of our legally shipped states. The online store has been updated so that you can ship to multiple people on one order, which is nice and convenient.
And how much is it?
24 for the Grenache,
Yeah.
and 32 for the Chardonnay.
We have 39 and a half pieces.
You get your discount. Yeah, the Chardonnay, we get some really amazing great prices out of Santa Rita Hills compared to some other people, but those grapes are more expensive than when you find your own.
One of my favorite things that we do in the tasting room during the holidays is the mulled wine, and we use our Grenache wine for that. And I think it pairs really well with all the spices we use, the clove, the star anise, the orange peel, cinnamon. And it makes for a really good hot beverage for once we get into the cold weather.
So we actually talked about mulled wine today because it was so cold last weekend that what we needed was something delicious like hot mulled wine. And we thought we would try it this year with Merlot.
Ooh, yeah. That'd be fun.
Merlot, the 17 Merlot is pretty nice and fruit forward, and even more importantly, it's in its fruit top. So you can get ready to. No, that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
kind of a.
It's not pumpkin spice, people, but it's as close as we can get here. Anything else? Any questions from abroad? Jason's not online this time?
Jason just joined. Which vineyard is it sourced? I think you missed that part, so.
Oh,
maybe just-
Chardonnay?
Yeah,
Hibbett's Ranch, furthest western vineyard in Santa Rita Hills on the 246 side of the river.
awesome.
It is awesome. So I love Chardonnay. I love Sauvignon Blanc. I'm kind of a most of the year a white wine gal. I love old Chardonnays too. I have some that go back to the 90s and they're delicious. So Chardonnay, it's you should just drink it right now, but you should get some and put it away too. If you like a patina on a white wine, Chardonnay is a really pretty one to do that with. It just continues to evolve. It's white Burgundy really, and this one of course is in a cork finish, so you're not gonna have to worry about anything like that. And both of them are in our DM cork, so that's the other thing just to quickly mention is that these corks will not taint the wine at all. 100% guaranteed. We've not had a tainted wine at all. They are patent pended and guaranteed not to do so. So
As you know, I'm not a fan of older white wines,
I know that.
but I agree with you completely. The Chardonnay really does hold up, and some of the prettiest wines I've had have been old Chardonnays. And that's kind of a bold statement from a guy who doesn't like
that is, yeah.
old white
We'll
wines.
put some away for you in a corner somewhere and we'll bring that in 10 years.
And the Grenache, which vineyard?
State Vineyard, of course.
State.
Yeah. So it was Grenache was a happy result of the Sideways movie. We took out 4 acres of Merlot in 2008. Movie came out in 2004, of course, and after that, Merlot sales plummeted worldwide. And finally, we just kind of said we just can't sell grapes, wine, bulk, anything. And we took 4 acres of the 8 acreage and we grafted it over to Malbec, Grenache, and Grenache Blanc.
All right.
I want some roast turkey.
Want to say?
Good to see you all.
All right. Thanks for joining us.